Welcome, my dear students. We are going to have this lesson today on Mashujaa Day, 28th of October 2023. Today, I want us to talk about education in England or education system of England. You can also say education system of Britain or system of education in Britain. It is good to study the education system of England since the education system of most African countries are modeled on them. In fact, Africa today is divided and often referred to as either English or French speaking. In this topic, therefore, we would like to trace the background of the educational system of France and England, identify, identify the major characteristics of these two systems of education, and also compare the two educational systems. So allow me to start talking about the background of these education systems. One of the main characteristics of English education system is the local autonomy in the management and control of education. This characteristic may be traced to the Elementary Bill of 1970, which introduced a national system of education by preserving voluntary schools and supported by people who give their service without expecting reward, dividing the country into schools, districts, giving denomination a short period in which to provide schools with aid for rebuilding and encouraging the central government to be neutral and secular. So we are saying that the main characteristic of the English education system is the local autonomy in the management and control of education system. This one, you must carry it to the bank. That the Education Act of 1902 further enhanced the development of this act since it marked a new beginning in the English educational system. For the first time in English history of education, all grades, elementary, secondary, and higher education were put under the control of one single local authority. At the same time, the state assumed the whole responsibility of secular instruction on the people. The Education Act of 1944 introduced the three stages of the English educational system, and these were primary, secondary, and further education. The Act also introduced compulsory education for ages between 5 and 15. I don't know why we have very few people. There are very few people who have joined. I don't know why. And that is why I am being forced to go back to introduction because I've realized that there are very few people and some of you have just joined. Let me repeat. We are going to deal with the education system of England or the education system of Britain or the education system of UK. England, Britain, UK. If you are asked about education system of any of those ones, just know that this is what we are handling now. It is good to study the education system of England since the education system of most African countries are modeled on them. In fact, Africa, Kenya included today, is divided and is often referred to as either English or French speaking. So in this topic, we would like to trace the background of the education system of both France and England. We will also identify the major characteristics of these two systems of education. And lastly, we will compare the two educational systems. Now, on the background, that one of the main characteristics of the UK education system is their local autonomy in the management of education or in the control of education. This characteristic may be traced to the Elementary Bill of 1970. This Elementary Bill introduced the national system of education by preserving the voluntary, dividing the country into school districts, giving denominations a short period in which to provide schools with the aid for building, and encouraging the central government to be neutral and secular following the enactment of the Act, enrollment in schools increasing, and by 1980, elementary education had been made fully compulsory, and by 1981, largely free. The Education Act of 1902 further enhanced the development of this act. Since it marked a new beginning in the English educational system, for the first time in English history of education, all grades, elementary, secondary, and higher education, were put under the control of one single local authority. At the same time, the state assumed the whole responsibility of secular instruction of the people. The Education Act of 1944 introduced the three grades of the English education system, i.e., primary, secondary, and further education. The Act also introduced compulsory education for grades 5 to 15. The structure of education system, levels of education, we had pre-primary. This is the children aged 3 months to 3 years. Provision of education is largely by private and voluntary sector, and parents pay fees. Voluntary sector did not pay. The provision of education from the age of 3 to 5 years is currently being expanded and developed in conjunction with private and voluntary sector. In 2002 Education Act, that has been provided. What about primary education? This caters for children who are aged between 5 to 11 years. Education is compulsory from age of 5. There is no charge for admitting pupils to public funded primary schools. Due to this, there are a large or no a large number of pupils to join public primary schools. Parents may apply to any school for a place for their child. The local authority or the school governing body establishes an admission policy to explain how places will be allocated if there are more applicants than places that are available in the school. However, admission policies usually give priority to children who live closest to the school, children who already have brothers and sisters at that school, or children with the special needs which may be best met at the school that is near to them. All primary schools accept pupils without regard to their ability. All primary schools are of mixed sects. The curriculum of primary schools is divided into two key stages. The first one, we have those ones of the age between 5 to 7, and another one of ages between 7 and 11. Pupils study English, design and technology, geography, information technology, music, science, art, physical education, history, except foreign languages. Outside the national curriculum, religious education is also compulsory. Promotion from one grade to another is automatic and does not depend on results of the assessment. However, there are statutory assessment on entry to primary school and at the end of these stages. The assessment include teacher assessment and externally set or externally marked and moderated tests. Let us talk about secondary school education. This one caters for children who are aged between 11 to 16 or 18 years. No charge is made for pupils getting admitted to the public funded secondary schools. These secondary schools accept students without regard to academic activities or academic abilities. At secondary school level, pupils continue with the two stages. Similar sex education is compulsory taught from 3. At this level, there are two public examinations. That is the General Certificate of Secondary Education, taken after 2 years, beginning in the 10th and ending in May or June each year. Higher education. Higher education refers to all post-school course above A-level standards. Higher education institutions include universities, polytechnics, and colleges. The 1992 Act enabled polytechnics to award their own degrees. These institutions are autonomous, each determining their own admission policies and requirements. The universities and colleges, however, have the University and College Admission Service. These ones act on a central agency on behalf of the universities and colleges. Teacher education. The training of teachers in England involves a 4-year Bachelor of Education degree course or a bachelor's degree course followed by a 1-year postgraduate certificate in education. Teachers are not civil servants and are either employed by local authority or by the individual institution, depending on the type of school. Admission and financing of education in England. In England, most pupils and their students attend public schools. For example, in the year 2000, about 96% of students in primary, secondary, and higher education were in public funded institutions. The rest were in private institutions that are not aided by the government, such as independent schools. Public schools are financed by the government and administered through local authorities. However, today, many public schools finance their own education. The schools are known as grant maintained schools. The independent schools rely solely on fees charged by parents. Majority of them are boarding schools and a few are day schools. National responsibility of providing education services lies with the dependent Department of Education and Skills in England. The inspection of schools is the responsibility of a separate non-ministerial government department known as the Office of the Standards of Education. The planning and funding of further education is the responsibility of the Learning and Skill Council, LSC, in England. With that, friends, you will allow me end this lesson because I'm not happy now that majority of people did not attend. But those who have not attended, ask them to revisit this video tomorrow because I'll be deleting it tomorrow in the evening. Bye for now. See you tomorrow.